I just know
the
you.
Surge's room is great.
Like
Yeah.
I know you well enough to. You can't remember Surge. There's just no way.
No, I remember Surge. Surge was my shit, dude.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Like
I threw
90s.
like the fraternity I was in college threw a volleyball tournament sponsored by Surge.
Oh, that's not good. That definitely caused diabetes.
Oh man, they pulled up a pickup truck, like a branded Surge pickup truck with the bed full of cans. We drank Surge for a semester.
How are you alive?
I don't know. My liver's got a glow.
Like Surge is what if I like Mountain Dew? Like Mountain Dew isn't strong enough, but I don't want to be a full-on meth addict.
Like, what if Mountain Dew stopped pretending to be a drink?
Episode 395 of the TV Dudes, recorded July 27th, 2022. What just happened? This week, a title homage to the Flarenomenon, a show only less than I remember because it scarred us for life with how bad it was. The shows this week aren't that bad, but they're both pretty odd. We got American Horror Story Season 2 on Hulu and Rap Shit on HBO Max. But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes. I was gone last week, guys. What did y'all talk about?
What did we talk about? Oh, that anime that I kind of was okay with.
Yes, I heard. I actually did listen. I always listen when I'm on, because then it's like getting a show.
I was genuinely shocked because I was like, man, Full Metal Alchemist is weird. Like, because I thought it's supposed to be one of the most beloved animes out there, but I'm like, it's gonna be too weird for Les.
I don't think I would have liked Full Metal Alchemist, but Brotherhood is kind of boiled down Saturday morning cartoon version worked out better.
Sure. Well, plot is they streamlined the plot. It's a lot simpler.
I feel like I dodged an anime bullet, and what I did not dodge, though, y'all didn't watch that last Nicolas Cage movie without me.
No, we're saving it back.
Damn it!
I'm gonna have to rewatch that motherfucking thing since I watched it a month ago.
Yeah, it's that piece of wedding cake like in the fridge for a year that you're like, do we really eat this? Is this tradition?
That is the best metaphor I've ever heard for watching the Nicolas Cage movie. Possibly poisonous, definitely not fun, probably stale.
And yet so tantalizing.
No, it's not. Let's jump over and talk about our TV diaries for the week.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
I will get us started because I've got 2 weeks worth, although I did not watch a ton of stuff because I was out of town. And I did discover I was staying in Boston at this place called the Sheraton 4 Points. And one thing I've discovered while traveling recently is that a lot of places are having the Google Chrome like built into their TVs.
Mm-hmm.
Half the time it works, half the time it doesn't. But it means that Google Chrome, you can like cast from your laptop or your iPad to the TV in the hotel room, which is nice. Yeah. It's usually a bigger screen. And when it works, it's great. It's always a little glitchy. What I was saying last time I stayed in a hotel, I was like, what would be really nice is if they would just have it so that you can log in with your own, like have Netflix on the TV. So you just log in with your own credentials and log out when you leave. Which I'm now realizing I forgot to log out. But they had this at this hotel. So I logged into my Netflix. I was able to watch Netflix on the big TV as if I just had Netflix on it. It was great.
Yeah, a lot of Airbnbs do that where, like with a huge caveat of log your shit out.
Yeah.
But I've also like Roku's and like streaming sticks are so small now.
Yeah.
I just travel with it.
I do. I have a Fire Stick that I'm supposed to bring with me, but I always forget.
It's great. It's like you plug in like the brain from your TV into the motel TV, and you're there.
I just consistently forget to take it with me. Maybe I'll remember for Gen Con, which is the next trip, and maybe God willing the last trip I'm taking for a while. I'm tired of travel, y'all. But I did watch some stuff. I did not get to watch a lot of TV because Hulu was having some issues on iPad, and I couldn't watch anything on Hulu. But last week before I left, I watched almost all of Seinfeld season 9. I'm up to the final episode. We'll watch that. I did watch What We Do in the Shadows episodes 1 through 3, which I really, really dug. You guys talked about that last week. I think it's really good. The episode 3 is the one with the nightclub, which y'all had not seen. It hadn't come out yet, and I thought was a great episode of TV.
The Richie Suck?
Yes, Richie Suck. Yeah.
I think I hadn't seen it, and so they didn't spoil it, but yeah.
I watched 2 more episodes of Loot, which I'm still really digging. I understand why people don't, because it is, especially the last 2 episodes, it's basically about her billionaire character having a love affair with another billionaire character, and they're both philanthropists, but they're still billionaires. And I'm like, I don't know that you can make a positive show about billionaires right now, but I like all the supporting cast, the people who are the working class people who are working for her at a foundation are sort of saving the show for me. And honestly, because it's Maya Rudolph, I'm able to be like, well, maybe we should eat you last. But I'm still really enjoying Loot. I watched another episode of Westworld. Don't know what's happening, but I'm very intrigued by it. I watched the latest episode of Better Call Saul, which, holy shit, was a huge episode of Better Call Saul. I don't want to say anything because I don't want to spoil anything, but man, they are going out on a high note. They are showing every sign of just sticking the landing and of making Better Call Saul a better show than Breaking Bad was. I am right now at that place of like, whenever they finish it, I'm going to immediately want to go and watch all of it. I'll watch all of Better Call Saul and then Breaking Bad in order, as if like one big giant binge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I watched an episode of The Rehearsal, which y'all talked about last week, which is I've never watched Nathan Fielding's Nathan for You. I don't think I would have liked it based on The Rehearsal, but The Rehearsal, Grant, our former TV dude, was giving high marks to it, and he said he didn't like Nathan for You. And Alan Sepinwall from the Hollywood Reporter, right? No, Rolling Stone. From Rolling Stone. I forget where he is anymore because I used to him from the New Jersey Star Ledger. But yeah, he's at Rolling Stone. He wrote about it and sort of gave a glowing review. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll check this out. I don't understand what the fuck they watch because I thought that was the most awkward 40 minutes of TV I've watched this year.
It's somewhere between like awkward and not for me and potentially incredibly unethical.
Yeah, I thought if I was watching it and I was like, if this is Comedy Central's review and it's fake, like if everybody's in on it, then I can see where over time this is going to be really funny. But I don't think that's what it is.
No, I think you're just doing it to these socially awkward people.
Yeah, I mean, he fucking ruined that guy's life. This guy's whole life was trivia, and he basically made him cheat without knowing he was cheating. That is so fucked up.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's if Queer Eye were trolling people.
Yeah. And like the weird thing is Nathan Fielding is obviously pretty fucked up too, and he thinks he's helping. He's trying to help. But some producer, surely someone working on that show is not on the spectrum and could have pulled him aside and said, "Hey man, this is not okay."
Well, and there was something truly bizarre about realizing that he had rehearsed the show.
Mm-hmm.
And like him constantly second guessing his prep for getting this total stranger to do this other thing.
Yeah. And
like the like turtles all the way down of like, oh God, everyone involved in this is insane.
Yeah. It was crazy. It was just, and I felt for the poor actress who read for, she's like, what is this part again? Like, no, you're playing a real person against this other real person. And you're going to be like, that's going to be a fantastic thing for her. It's a great conversation piece for her resume. Like, yeah, I was in this Nathan Fielding show where I was sort of not playing a fictional part. It was very weird. And I wanted to punch Nathan in the face the whole time.
I feel like it's going to be like Tom Green eventually, where like you'll say that you'll like, I was in a Nathan Fielding show in a casting office, and they'll go, oh
yeah, someone will get up and give you a hug. Yeah,
right.
I watched a ton of movies. I watched The Gray Man on Netflix. I don't know if either of y'all saw this. It's the Russos.
I did.
The Russos' new thing. Did you guys talk about this last week, or you just don't watch it?
No, I just watched it. I don't think it had quite dropped.
Here's the thing. It's better than the last couple James Bond movies, but it's not
for sure.
But it's not on the level of, say, like any of the weaker of Mission Impossibles or Fast and Furious. Like, it's a dumb shit action movie, and it's too long.
Yeah, it's too long. I would say it's as good or better than Six Underground.
Yeah,
and weirdly could have been called Six Underground.
Yes. This is what I don't understand. Like, it's not as good as Red Notice, I think. And Red Notice is not a good movie, but it was more entertaining. But Gray Man, I was like, Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans and everybody who's in this is good.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, Marcus and McFeely wrote it. The Russo. This is the team that did fucking Endgame.
And Winter Soldier, and
Winter Soldier, and this is what they give us. It's such a cliche. It's not terrible. I wasn't offended, but I was like, this feels like you handed it to somebody else and put your name on it. It did not feel like
it feels very by the numbers.
I mean, maybe it was the script. Like maybe they were just only so much they could do. But I don't know. I haven't seen it, but
it's a spy. I mean, it is exactly the action movie that your brain would like fill in with broad strokes.
I feel confident, Nick, in saying that despite you haven't seen it, you've seen it.
You've seen it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the main problem. Like if you've seen Man from U.N.C.L.E. and Six Underground,
and from the directors that gave us one of the quintessential of this decade, if not century, fight scenes in that elevator in Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
that's got to be. That's like our Old Boy or something of how fucking good that fight scene is. So that's kind of disappointing to hear.
There are some. I mean, it's
got some inventive fight scenes. Yeah,
it's clearly made by like people that can are really good at their jobs, but it feels. I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're swinging for any kind of fence here. Like,
no, it felt lazy.
How's it stack up against the paintball episode of Community?
Not well.
Oh no, the paintball episode of Community is much better.
And better action.
Mostly, this reminded me how surprisingly good Ryan Gosling is at playing like shitty down and out losers. I think of him as such a country club pretty boy.
Yeah.
And I came out of this going, I know Gray Man kind of like runs up against the bumpers on the lane of like almost getting into a cooler thing. And there's moments where, because it's Gosling, it reminds me of The Nice Guys.
So occasionally I was going to say
it touches at that. It's great.
One of my friends was posting about it, and he was basically talking about how much he hated it. He hated this movie. And I didn't hate it. I thought it was fine. But he was like, every time I was watching it, I was thinking I could have just been watching The Nice Guys. And he said something about, he's like, unfortunately, there's a lot of movies where I'm watching, I'm like, I should just rewatch The Nice Guys again. And I think that was the problem, is like, Gray Man was fine, but I should have just watched Nice Guys again.
There's a running gag where Gosling throws people, like somebody yells, like, throw me a gun.
Yeah.
And it happens a few times, and he throws a weapon, and it's unloaded.
Yeah.
and they're like, what the fuck? Why would you throw me? And he's like, no one throws loaded weapons. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's an insane thing to do.
It's like freakishly dangerous. Yeah. No, I will throw you, like he throws people a gun and they'll run off, and he's like about to throw them the clip that goes with it, and like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, there's a few moments. But
those moments are very nice, guys.
But it never comes together.
No, but it doesn't stick to them. Yeah. Anyway,
it's super forgettable. It's kind of like the Adam Project. It's like one of these things where you had a team that made a really memorable, fun, surprisingly good movie, and they made a forgettable one for Netflix. And I'm starting to think that Netflix is kind of like Prime, that there's some executive who's fucking everything up, that's sanding all the edges off or something, because it shouldn't be. And I also think that we're maybe underestimating. Everybody's talking shit about Marvel, how bad they treat their VFX artists, and they do. But I think there is something to be said that someone at Marvel, probably Kevin Feige, but someone there is elevating everyone's stuff, because you look at what the Russos have done since Endgame, and it's this and Cherry, and neither one of those are good movies.
There's someone over at Disney that seems to be able to tell everyone in this business, this isn't good enough, come back with something better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I understand how frustrating that's got to be as a creative person, but I also know as a consumer that I'm happy that person's doing that job. I also watched Nope, which I don't know if y'all have seen yet.
Have not.
Okay, I won't say anything about it, because I think the best thing about Nope is to go in completely blind. I had gone in having seen only the first trailer. I did my best to avoid that second one, and I loved Get Out. I really liked Us. I liked Nope. I think it is the weakest of his three movies, but I left the theater and immediately had to go like look up articles about what all happened, because it's very dense and thoughtful and good. It's a very good, beautifully shot movie. And the only reason I'm not like, this is one of the best movies of the summer, is because I'm comparing it to some of the best movies that were made by Jordan Peele. So it's sort of a victim of his success a little bit. It's really good, and everybody should see it. But I don't want to tell you anything about it.
I did get a kick out of, I think somebody online tweeted or posted somewhere, when are we just going to declare Jordan Peele the greatest horror director of all time?
Yes.
Peele immediately weighed in with, I will not abide John Carpenter slander like that, sir.
Yeah. The guy who tweeted that is Adam Ellis, the cartoonist who did these
that's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of funny he got shut down so hard.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
Also, like, just ratio wise, like, okay, but like, he has more good movies than you, but he also has way more bad movies than you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Peele was right to say, look, let's slow our roll. If I make 30 good movies in a row, maybe then I can be the greatest director of all time. But
Yeah.
I also watched Netflix's The Sea Beast, which is an animated show with Carl Urban playing it's very How to Train Your Dragon, but it was fun and clever and beautifully animated. And honestly, it would have been my favorite new movie that I watched this last couple of weeks. Except that on the way home on the plane, I downloaded this 3.5 hour movie my friends were talking about. My first Bollywood movie.
You watched
Jesus.
RRR?
I watched RRR, and I fucking loved RRR. It is so much fun.
Lisa watched it. She really liked it, but it was so long that she was like, yeah, I watched it across a whole weekend. And she's like, I enjoyed it, but I'm glad I didn't go to a theater for it. I haven't seen it yet.
So here's the thing. I was gonna recommend it to you, Les, because I believe you will love it. I don't want to say too much about it.
Everybody keeps telling me like, oh, you don't even notice the runtime. I'm like, it is 3 hours.
You
There's no
that can't be
fucking way
true.
I don't notice the runtime.
You
That cannot be true.
You notice the runtime. There are 3 movies in here. I would not have watched it all the way through unless I was on a 4.5 hour flight. That worked out. But as I was watching this, I was thinking 2 things. I was like, this is too long, but Les can watch this like he watched the Batman. He's gonna love it. So you break at about the hour point. There's like a dance sequence. You break right after that dance sequence, and then you break after an action sequence, like the 2 hour point. You'll know which one I'm talking about, and then you watch the rest of it, and you get 3 discrete chunks of movie, and it all works really well.
That'll work. I can do that.
Totally worth doing. The action sequences are great. The music is great. The characters are good. The villains are cartoonishly evil. Some of the action was better than anything I saw in The Gray Man, and I thought The Gray Man was fine. But man, RRR had me going, oh shit, I gotta check into this Bollywood stuff because it was so fucking good.
Yeah, I've heard great things about it.
Yeah, definitely do not sleep on RRR. It was really fun. I also rewatched on the plane out. I watched Knives Out, which is phenomenal, and then on the Netflix TV that I had in my hotel room, I watched Mission Impossible 4 Ghost Protocol again. Because that's after Gray Man, I was like, oh, Mission Impossible 4. That's a good movie. I'll watch that. And
Go to call.
other than that, I think pretty much just the homework, which was not a ton of stuff. Les, what about you?
Well, I watched Ghost Shark 2 Urban Jaws, which I'll let Nick
I think
discuss.
that's Ghost Sharks 2 Urban Jaws.
Was it
I'm not
sharks? I
100%
thought it
sure.
was singular because it's Ghost Shark.
Well,
They
there's
keep calling it.
only one ghost shark in the movie, which is why I think you're confused.
But
I
any
believe
shark
the
can be
title
a
still
ghost
is
shark.
Ghost Sharks.
Yeah, because there could be ghost sharks, or like ghost sharks. Anyway, there's a lot. Motherland, Fort Salem, which is still going strong. The Gray Man, which we discussed. Watched a couple episodes of LA to Vegas because I love that show and I own it. Because it's not streaming subscription it's not streaming anywhere. Watched a couple episodes of Hacks, which I had not finished out yet. Finished The Old Man season 1. They have since gotten a season 2, but when I finished watching that, I was pissed. It feels like no, that can't be the end of it. And then you kind of do a bunch of math in your head and you're like, God damn it. I guess technically that does wrap up things. Fuck you. So yeah, that's a frustrating show. It was supposed to be 10 episodes. They had some COVID issues. Bridges got COVID during cancer treatments. Anyway,
shit.
it ended up being 7 episodes. They rewrote it. So in light of that, it's a pretty great finale. But it's a frustrating ending. Watched The Orville, which holy crap, that new season's great. Every episode was absolutely awesome. And then I watched the rest of Strange New Worlds, which was straight up confusing for one episode coming right after The Orville. I honestly had hard time remembering who was like number 1 on which ship. And like, wait, that's the Orville shit.
Seth MacFarlane has taken his swing at Star Trek since he knows this is last season. He's really like, if I could make a Star Trek show, this would be how I made it.
It's just hilarious that like watching Strange New Worlds feels like someone at Trek paid attention to the Orville.
Yeah, right.
and like, hey, there's a whole huge amount of Star Trek fans who are watching this other unrelated show and going, that's Trek. I'm covering up my eyes and like blind taste test.
Yeah,
That's
right?
Trek. Yeah. So both of those seasons were absolutely fucking great.
Trek original.
Yeah, exactly. I loved Trek Strange New Worlds as well. Finished out You're the Worst on a rewatch. Damn, that is such a great show. And such a great finale. It's still just brutal, even rewatching it.
I can't wait to rewatch that at some point. And that ending and that use of mountain goats was so fucking good.
Oh God, it's so great. And like honestly, it had been long enough that I had forgotten quite how the finale worked.
Right.
Until it started, and then it clicked of like, oh, that's right, I remember the trick here.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yep.
What We Do in the Shadows, I've kept up with because damn, it's fantastic. I loved this week's episode, which we're not going to discuss this week. Yeah, the night market.
Awesome.
Because Randy's out, but there's a thing I want to discuss that I don't want to spoil for Randy. The joke's too good. Anyway, we'll discuss next week. I watched a couple episodes, or 3 episodes, I think, was all that was out of a show that turns out is on Freeform. You start things on Hulu sometimes, and you never know where the fuck they're
where it came from. Yeah.
If you don't catch the little blip at the start, Everything is Trash, which turned out to be really great. I was very disappointed when Hulu auto started like a completely different show. I was like, oh shit, I guess we're out of episodes of that. It's a like influencer podcaster. It weirdly feels like what Sex and the City was trying to do plot wise. This in their reboot season of having like a say anything dirty mouth podcaster, and her brother runs for office, and so it's not so much that the campaign comes and tells her to tone it down. It's that a couple of things backfire at the wrong moment. Like she's constantly talking shit, and it just a couple of things just go wrong one after another. And she ends up like with the campaign going, hey, so you have to shut the fuck up. And it ended up, I'm looking forward to watching more. The cast is good. Pretty cute. Kind of surprised it was on Freeform. Very well done.
Yeah.
It makes me suspect that it's going to drop off substantially in its second season, because Freeform's done this before. I've had a show where I'm like, well, that's got some real writing depth to it. Holy shit. And then usually there's some kind of massive staff change. So yeah, we'll see. And then I watched Ty West's horror film from last year, X, which was fucking fantastic.
So one of my staffers has been talking that up, and she said something about some other movie she saw that she's like, if you liked X, you'll like this.
House of the Devil, maybe.
I'll look for it. Just talk about X. I'll look for it.
But anyway, X is great. It's got Kid Cudi in it. It's the best acting role, one of the best acting roles I've seen him do. Mia Goth is absolutely wild in the role, but the whole thing is just beautiful, seedy 70s horror, and it makes a lot of really fun, like, thematic allusions between horror as a genre and its tie to sexuality, and like how often horror was used to kind of sneak across some tits in a slasher movie kind of stuff. The weird voyeuristic component of both of them. There's a lot of fun stuff that gets touched on, and it's just like all Ty West movies. It's beautifully shot. And it turns out he has already shot the prequel.
Yeah, so that's what it was. She saw the trailer for Pearl, which is the prequel.
Yes. And I don't want to, like, you shouldn't watch the trailer for Pearl.
Okay.
Before you watch X, really. I don't.
Where did you watch
it?
X? Is it on?
I rented it.
Oh, okay.
I think I paid $4 for it.
Okay,
Rented it.
Cool.
It was. I really enjoyed the shit out of it. I'm looking forward to watching it again. I had no idea when I watched it that there was about to be a prequel.
Yeah.
And that's just great. It's so cool that he shot that. Because Mia Goth is fucking terrifying, and it's going to be cool to see her in another movie in this role, or it's not the same role, but in another movie. And that's my Diaries.
Nick?
Yeah, Ghost Sharks 2 Urban Jaws is one of the best movies ever.
I don't believe you. I don't believe a word you just said.
It's like me and Les were watching it and we were shocked.
It is singular. Ghost Shark 2.
Oh, really? It's not Ghost Sharks?
Nope.
Damn. Okay. Well, obviously, me and Les didn't even know there was a Ghost Shark 1, and we thought, what's the fucking difference? We could go into Ghost Shark 2. But we were shocked with how much mythos and, like, god damn it, PTSD from the first Ghost Shark a lot of the characters had, to where, like...
Seriously. So much of this movie is dependent on actual information that you allegedly gleaned from Ghost Shark.
Yeah, so apparently ghost sharks can appear in any type of water that isn't a lake or a river, because but he appears in steam, he appears in a puddle, he appears in an ice bucket, which is the best, because then the ice bucket becomes sentient and starts to track this guy down a hallway, fucking Chucky style. God,
tears,
damn.
I think at one point.
Yes, don't cry. That's how ghost sharks get you.
Yeah. This is a real movie that exists. I can't stress that fact enough.
Is it good? It's real.
It's real. It is a real movie, and its poster is exceptional. It's New Zealand had real fun with this. It's just holy fuck, it's a real movie. I can't believe we watched that.
I can. I believe it, because y'all have watched weird shit.
Sure. I've watched some more Owl House, which again is very good. Highly recommend. I think there is. I looked it up less, and apparently there is going to be a third season of just 3 like hour-long episodes. It looks like.
Oh shit!
To wrap shit up.
Okay, all right.
Because I introduced one of my other friends to it, and he came back to me a week later, and he said, "Fuck you." I was like, "What? Why? How dare you introduce me to that show when there's no ending?" It's like, damn it, I pulled a middleman. I watched some Inside Job, just because I was watching the Comic-Con trailers, and some of the trailers were getting me excited for other stuff, like the Star Trek Lower Decks season 3 trailer was out, and I think Inside Job's coming out with its second season too. And I still love the super villainy of our main character of like, no, you can't set my confidence up to that level of high. That self-doubt is the only thing keeping me from ruling the world. And then I watched, what was it, Vindicators 2?
Yeah, okay.
Which was it's a riff on the episode of Vindicators on Rick and Morty. And it's all on YouTube. Apparently, just Adult Swim just puts out these little shorts that go with it, and it's pretty good. They are not very long, but they hit just like you realize that this is a prequel, because the Vindicators show up. 1, they're all alive, and 2, there's 3 other ones that were not there before. There's like a katana robot chick. There's some orc-looking motherfucker, and some sort of Aztec witch sort of thing that is like, oh, maybe our villains will be so impressed by our diversity they'll just give up. Like, what? No, it's a meritocracy. If we're diverse, it's just a coincidence. And they hit the million ants having sex with what was it, the Star Girl, and having a miscarriage with that baby. That's the through line of this prequel. That's the story they stick with throughout all the episodes. It is so dark and funny. Like, I forgot Lance Reddick plays the fucking train ghost guy. He goes into a meditative state to go find a ghost train when they run out of fuel in space, so that he can find a ghost train in space to pull them. It's really good. It shows what happens to those other 3 members why they're not there when Rick and Morty end up hanging out with them. And yeah, they get Christian Slater back. I think it's Jillian Jacobs as the Stargirl. It's fantastic. Highly recommend. Just more Rick and Morty goodness. Oh, and then I watched Chucky, the TV series.
Oh, okay.
Which also has a Comic-Con trailer for its season 2.
I've heard that's really good. Where'd you watch that?
Peacock.
Okay,
No wait.
all right.
Yeah, Peacock. Yeah,
Okay,
and
all right.
it was shockingly good. I put it on, like I was like, holy shit, is this is this show good?
I've never seen a Chucky movie in my life. Will I like it?
Sure,
Have you not?
Nope.
Oh my gosh, Randy.
sure.
No.
I mean, they go through this show goes through his origin that basically they haven't gone into in even any of the movies to back
Okay.
before he was a Chucky doll. Like they've
Okay.
never really done that. So they've shown Charles Lee Ray growing up and what he was like as a serial killer before he became trapped inside a doll.
So here's all I know about Chucky. He appeared in the comic book Hack Slash.
That makes sense.
That's where I saw him. He was like a reluctant ally, also enemy of Cassie Hack, who's like the Buffy-esque anti-slasher girl in the Hack Slash. And I liked him there. Yeah, so
You gotta leave Giz that first movie a watch. Come on, man. It's
all right,
it's
all
real
right.
good.
All right. I don't
Yeah.
know if I believe that, but
That first movie's wild.
okay.
And then the fifth movie is pretty good. Or am I thinking of the sixth one? I'm thinking of the sixth one in the same.
I think we should just marathon Randy through them.
No.
Hey,
no,
I think we found our Patreon.
Fool me once, and you make me watch 8 Nicolas Cage movies. Fool me twice, I'm not watching Chucky.
But all right, Randy, I promise our next marathon will not have any Nicolas Cage anywhere in it.
That's not enough.
Well, I like this because Chucky, he's not just killing everybody in these episodes. He has some sort of long game that he's trying to get some of the kids to kill people with him, like become his like protege or something. And so it gives Chucky something to do that isn't just killing people, and he gets to interact with more of the kids more often without it just becoming a kill fest the entire time. And it's really, really interesting. And they bring in the original actors from the first movie with the Andy and the babysitter. And the only gripe I have is that the very end finale is not that great. I mean, it would have been fine, but they promise you the last movie. This is a sequel to the last movie, and the last movie promised you an army of Chuckies. And at the end of this show, they promise you an army of Chuckies, and they don't deliver on that at all. I was like,
when are they going to get to the fireworks factory with the army of Chucky?
Exactly. Like they show a little bit of it in the second season trailer. They show that there might go that way, but for me, I was like, no, this should have ended with a huge blowout of just killing Chuckies all over the place. Like you can't. They have like a whole truck full of Chucky's dolls at the end of it. I'm like, no. You don't leave that Chekhov ungunned. That's bullshit.
This may be their ace in the hole. Like, renew us, and this time we're going to do the army of Chuckies.
Sure is a nice army of Chuckies you got there. Be a shame something happened to it.
Oh, also Jennifer Tilly is in the show playing Jennifer Tilly because
Yes.
somewhere along the line, the Jennifer Tilly's character possessed the actress Jennifer Tilly in this series.
Oh, God damn it, you sold me. That did it.
Oh yeah, Randy. There's a moment where the Jennifer Tilly looking Chucky doll becomes aware of Jennifer Tilly.
Yep.
I must have seen parts of Chucky 2 because I do know that.
Oh, that's way down the line. That's after Bride of Chucky. That's
Oh, really?
Seed
So maybe
of Chucky?
maybe I just knew about this from following Jennifer Tilly. I don't know. And by that I mean stalking her.
Yeah, you got like 3 other movies before you get to Bride of Chucky. And yeah, Jennifer Tilly is awesome. Like she's playing like they're both psychos, but Jennifer Tilly is. It's like she does not care. Like, oh, obviously I'm acting against a doll and have to act as insane as this talking doll is. So I just gotta like fucking go nuts every time. And I love that she's canonically Jennifer Tilly. Like she shows up as a celebrity, and like it's like, hey, I recognize you. You're a little young to have watched Bound. But I actually recommend the Chucky show if you have Peacock, and it might be a fun Halloween thing to do too for October.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to put that. I have several friends who've talked about how good it is. So
no,
yeah.
I was putting it on expecting one of my and Les's like bad watching, like how fun, and then when it's like, oh wait, this is like legitimately good. Holy shit, did not expect that.
Wait, why do you not suck?
Also, a gay romance between 2 teenage male characters. that is
Yeah,
not played
interesting.
for laughs, or they deal with homophobia a little bit, but not
Yeah.
but mostly from a parental figure, and that goes away pretty early. Chucky fixes that. I'll just say that. Chucky's okay. Seems to be okay with the gays. He's like, not that there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, that was basically that's what I watched this week.
All right. So it's a good time to remind you that you can support us by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us a fucking episode. In exchange, we get to keep up with our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, we're going to talk about all the news out of San Diego Comic-Con. MCU, that D&D trailer, maybe some Star Trek news, all kinds of stuff dropped, and we'll be talking about that on our Patreon. We also have our $20 showrunner level, so if there's shows you want to throw in the rotation, you can buy in, give us a couple of ideas. We're rapidly running out of anime to watch, so maybe you can throw something out that's not anime that we could watch. We've watched a reality chocolate show. We've watched what else? What did John Paul make us watch? I've already blocked it out.
No, that wasn't that bad.
I don't know, the chocolate show. There was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Yep.
There
was something else that he had. Oh, he went to watch the show on Crackle.
Yes.
Oh, the rap one no one liked. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are cunts.
Yes.
I'm sorry. We are CVNT5.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a possibility out there, but yeah, if you want to do that, you just got to join that level 1 week. You pay that $20, and we will be in your debt to watch a couple of shows.
I can't ever help but think of players whenever I think of We Are CVNT5, and I liked We Are CVNT5 so much better than players that it makes me remember it as a good show. I don't know that really stacks up. I think we've had some bad homework for a few weeks.
Yeah, no, look, I'm just, if you go to the dog food aisle and you get like the high class stuff and not just the Alpo, it's gonna taste a little bit better. But it's still dog food.
It's still dog food.
You win a prize of what human familiars love so much.
Dog food.
Try dog food.
Can't get enough of that shit.
All right, let's talk about our new business for the week, which is probably pretty quick. The TV Diaries is gonna take up a lot of our time, but let's revisit American Horror Stories, which, for those who don't know, is the anthology version of American Horror Story. There were 7 episodes in the previous season, 7 or 8. Like, it was like a short run.
Yeah, it was a short season.
I had never watched American Horror Story when I watched American Horror Stories, which turned out to be a mistake because American Horror Stories references back American Horror Story, but I thought it was like a standalone Twilight Zone thing. And you can watch it that way, but I feel like it...
Well, at least the first episodes from each series does.
But I feel like you're missing context when you watch it that way.
Absolutely, it's super fun to know the connection.
I also didn't go back and watch the last couple episodes of the previous season. Like, it didn't quite grab me enough. But that said, I did kind of like it, and it made me watch American Horror Story. So this had similar... So I watched this first episode back is we've seen this trope before. I don't know exactly what the trope is, but it's like a woman kidnapped by a madman and then put into this contest situation where they have to figure out how to escape. Like, we've seen this kind of thing before.
Well, we saw the doll woman on a pedestal thing so recently on Roar as well.
Yeah, and that was terrible. This is interesting and scary. Like, I thought they did a good job of whenever you give me some kind of locked door thing like this, I'm always like, why don't you just fucking escape? And they did a good job of making me believe, okay, they can't just escape. Especially they use a little bit of hand waving. They had some other women there who were like, look, we've been trying for months. You can't get out. There's only one way out. Like,
when one woman's like, it's 10 miles in all directions.
Yeah.
We are in the center of a 20-mile circle.
Well, when you hit there with 5 women and she's trying to get out, I'm like, that's an understandable reaction, but you do realize that all these other people have done exactly this for the last 4 weeks or whatever.
If they're standing back watching you flail, it's because they've flailed already.
Yeah. And so I was interested in the setup of we're going to get the mole women from Kimmy Schmidt, and we're going to see that one of them is clearly bonkers and is going to kill all the rest of them. And the sadistic guy who's running things was really good. The freaky little kid was good. Like, I was into all of this. I'm like, this is really interesting. But then suddenly she's telekinetic for no reason. And I was like, what the fuck is going on?
And she plays it off a little bit, but
I was truly like, oh, American Horror Story. It's never enough for one story with you. It's like,
right.
No.
Yeah.
And also she's telekinetic. It's also Firestarter up in this bitch.
Yes, that's the thing. It's like, oh, you give me your pitch. So what's your elevator pitch? Oh, so this woman goes in for an interview, but she gets kidnapped by this crazy doll maker who's trying to find a replacement for his wife, and there are other women there, and he runs a pageant, and basically only one of them is going to survive. Oh, that's great. Also, she's telekinetic. Wait, what?
What?
Wait, why?
Yeah. Oh, and also at the end, it's revealed she's not.
Fuck you. That's why.
She's not telekinetic. She's a witch.
Yeah, and it
Yes.
ties into the Coven season.
So yeah, that was the thing. I got to that, and I'm like, what the fuck?
And it's such a it's such a ride in on a horse and save the day,
Yeah.
Deus Ex Machina of it. It's
Yeah.
so great.
The story was over.
Yeah.
And she had lost. And then the witches
She
showed
had
up and
lost.
burned everything down for no reason that I could tell. I'm like,
Fuck
okay,
you.
right, yeah. So yeah, I
The premise of this show was American Horror Story is like everything wrapped up in any of these seasons. Like it's sure each season has its theme, but that's kind of a guideline more than a hard set. Like they'll throw anything in a goddamn season.
yes.
And so this is we're going to be more specific with our stories, only do them one an episode so that we can get one idea really bad. And even then they can't and also witch powers. Like, no.
There is something about Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk where you're like, too much is never enough. Like that's been their vibe the whole time. So
they're penciling in a 12 past the 11 on the dial.
yes.
Yeah.
They're their motto is not less is more, it's fuck you, more is more.
Yes.
And the funny thing is it did weird me out, but I can't say I didn't like it. I enjoyed it. It's always fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. The second episode comes out tonight after we're going to be done recording, and I really wish that I would have watched it already. These things are just crazy fun. Like the way that evil just sets up things and then never bothers to bed them down.
Yes.
This doesn't do it like that. It's not quite that aggravating. They just always throw in one extra, what if it was also aliens and ghosts?
Yeah.
What?
Well, evil.
Why?
Evil sets it up, and evil's sets it up in a way that they're setting expectations. Like, look, we're laying all this groundwork. Can't wait to see how this all pays out, right? It's not gonna. American Horror Stories is like, hey, here's a bunch of shit. Take what you want.
Yeah, they don't really subtly build up to ooh, what's this going to lead to? It's pretty whatever it's leading to is right in front of you. What's happening at that moment.
Yeah, maybe you should go watch the Coven season.
American Horror Story is like if Nicolas Cage was a show.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
I don't know if it's good or not, but fuck, is it watchable?
It's watchable. Yeah.
In a house full of dolls. Yeah. In a house full of dolls. In a house full of dolls. In a house full of dolls. Yeah. In a house full of dolls.
Let's jump over to the other show, which is Rap Shit on HBO Max. There's 2 episodes. I only watched one.
So I would watch the second one to get a good grip on this show. I was distinctly glad there were 2 episodes. I didn't like episode 1, and I did like episode 2.
Interesting, because I didn't dislike it, but I was watching it, and it was the bell ringing in my head was, this is not for me. This is definitely not made for me.
The problem is that they don't really redeem her character, the main character. I forget what her name is.
Yeah.
But episode 2 does a
Shauna,
lot to work through her stuff and where she compromises on her work and then fixes her relationship with her boyfriend via Skype or whatever.
Yeah.
And they don't do that in the first episode, so it leaves her looking like a real bitch.
Yeah.
She seems like the kind of villain of the series in the first episode.
Okay.
And in the second episode, you spend a little bit of time with her friend or Mia. They're not really friends; they just knew each other in high school.
Yeah.
And you get that immediately that oh shit, you just know her from high school, but y'all really weren't that tight.
Mm-hmm.
And then you watching what she brings to the table and her shit really kind of humanized the show for me. And I'm interested in the show about where they go together in a way that the first episode just gave me kind of both a character I didn't really like in a situation that I felt like I had seen before. I'm going to make real music. I'm going to be the best. You just don't appreciate
Yeah.
I loved that basically the show is calling everyone in episode 2 is yeah, she don't listen to anybody except her own music. Everybody's very clear about oh yeah, she's a really good rapper, but God, she's got her head up her ass.
Yeah, and I think the first episode doesn't it shows you that, but doesn't sell that as what the bad trait that it is. That
Yeah.
episode 2 is like, okay, this is her story of how she's going to compromise and get over herself to get her career going. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, episode 1 is just like, why am I watching this insufferable person?
Okay.
Yeah, and like in episode 1, I feel like all the other characters come up and try to get her to, and she just shuts them down, or you can hear her get on her bullshit. Like especially when they're writing lyrics, like you can just kind of feel her get off.
The gimmick they do with all the recording, with the
That
phones
took forever
and
for me to
Skype,
get used to.
and
Yeah.
I'm still like, this is stupid and pointless because
Yeah.
they drop it every once in a while too.
Yeah.
And especially in episode 1, they use the shit out of it as like a cool hip way to show me backstory.
Yeah.
And like you kind of have to pay attention to the like 148 weeks, 153 weeks time.
Yeah.
I don't spend that much time on social media, and that took me the entirety of episode 1 to learn how to fucking follow.
Yeah.
It was like having to learn and I realized like, oh, this is a language you assume all of society knows, and I don't.
That I think was the biggest thing of like, oh, this is not for me. It's all viewed through the lens of this social, your life is on social media. And don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, I spent way too much time on Facebook, but the just like the overall like everything recording your own thing. Yeah, I felt
Well,
old
they
when I felt out of
spend
touch,
so
yeah.
long on it, and yet it's not consistent throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like it's
Mhm.
sometimes they drop it, and not for really big moments either. Sometimes it's just two characters having a conversation, and like, well, did you guys get bored with your own premise, or did you not realize, or could you not conceive of a way to record this conversation and justify it?
As far as side characters go, I fucking love her coworker at the hotel.
Yes.
The concierge. He cracks me up, and I want to see more of him in the series. I hope he
Hey,
keeps coming back.
Do you know where the jet skis are? Are you going to pay in cash? Then I can help you out
I can
right
help you
away,
out,
sir.
yeah. I love that first. I did like that character quite a bit because when he's like, where's the beach? He's like, man, it's all around. You're not even trying.
It's everywhere, motherfucker. This is Miami.
Yeah. I love it when she at one point it might be in episode 2, she calls her out for like doing rap videos in a hoodie and a mask, and she's like, I know you live in Miami. I know you're filming these in Miami. Like there is no point in the year where a hoodie and is appropriate.
Yeah, the boyfriend is like, obviously they're doing a long distance thing, and the boyfriend, he's in my mind, he apologizes in episode 2 for nothing I don't think he did wrong, because like,
Yeah.
or no, Ep2 he actually has a conversation where he gets all weird about her doing a rap career with a OnlyFans star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he has that to apologize for. But for their first episode, I think he was in the right for. Is fighting gonna make you feel better? Because I feel like that's kind of what you want to do right now.
Yeah.
Well, he was kind of going out of his way to not press the point of like, hey, I'm supposed to see, like, you're putting off having phone sex tonight because we're going to see each other in 2 weeks.
But you haven't even bought
but
your
you
ticket.
haven't actually bought the ticket.
Yep.
I have a distinct feeling that you are not going to see me in 2 weeks.
Yeah. As someone who's been, and I'm not good at knowing when to end a fight. I've had fights that go for hours and go nowhere, and I'm just like,
Sure.
It's like, fuck, I should not be doing that. We should have stopped 2 hours ago and had a snack. Like this, we're going nowhere. We're just going in circles. I appreciated the scene where he's like, yeah, no, I'll call you back when you're done with your bullshit. And I'm like, man,
yes,
I respect that.
That was a good move for him. I was like, good for you.
Yep.
Like, because that's the problem, is that first episode, you don't really grow to like her at all.
I thought they were doomed off that first episode. I was so surprised that and she does things to redeem it. I was really surprised.
Okay.
Also, her friend like is not much better in the first episode, as long as like, because her like every time she gets on social media, I think the only thing is that I'm interested in money and that's it. I am a gold digging bitch.
Yeah. Well, and also the first time we meet her is when she is messaging her friend she hasn't seen since high school to watch her daughter for her because she's fucked up. Yeah. And it's like, it felt like such a user move. I was like, oh man, I hate this character.
And in episode 2, you see her at like a parent teacher conference about her daughter, and it's a whole different side of her without feeling like a different character.
Okay.
It really feels like the same. Yeah.
The teacher sees an interest their kids has taken and then suggests like a camp, like some sort of astronaut camp or whatever the fuck. And she walks out of that stunned. She was like, can you imagine if I had a teacher like that when I was in school that actually gave a shit? What could I have been? You know?
And this, like, you also know that, like, well, this is also going in the stack of like shit I got to go get money for. But she doesn't come out of it bitching about that. She comes out of it like, oh man, I wish I'd had teachers. This is so great.
Yeah, she comes out really happy that her kid has a teacher like that.
Like you know that she's not getting back together with the guy. Like she and the kid's dad like are not a couple, and she thinks he's a fucking idiot most of the time. But
he thinks like that they might. He thinks there might be a chance, but there is no chance, dude.
There is no chance. But at the same time, you hear them talk after the parent-teacher conference, and you can tell that this is still two people co-parenting a child. They both love this kid. It was good. I'm glad they released both. I don't know if they released both at once, but I'm glad both were out.
Yeah, because that dude is like Jim Beckworth from fucking what do you call it? Harder They Fall. And I was like, why did you even? This guy just seems like a fuck up the entire time. And suddenly after that conversation, I'm like, okay, I get it. I get why you and him click on a level that of like getting past people's bullshit. You spoke money to one another at a certain point, and that was what it was. But it does have the stereotype of the ditched dad of paying child support, and I don't know. It feels like the I don't want to say like hatred towards towards males is weird, but it's just like the constant. If your dude doesn't have money, that they're a piece of shit and they're not worth it.
So I gotta say that is one of the things, and I don't ever want to be this guy, but I watched, one of the reasons I left Insecure was because it went from like men and women are both problematic, and most men are shitty, to all men are shitty if they're not rich and good looking, and it got to be as like it got to be a point. It was like, fuck this, why am I watching this show? And Issa Rae, who is involved in this, I'm like, I loved Insecure at the outset, and I couldn't even watch the last couple seasons because it did sort of steer into that, and I got a bit of that vibe in this too.
It has a weird emphasis on wealth and how much that is involved with your self-worth that I don't like. I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, same here. And I think that may be a sort of like they're zooming
probably
in on the
I am a
hip hop
poor
thing. Yeah, well, yeah,
or they would consider me a poor.
But like, look at Atlanta, which is also about hip hop and making and being successful. It never does that. It never, because they came from a place of not having wealth. It never does this whole, if you're not wealthy, you ain't shit. I think also
they never really shit on anybody.
Yeah, it's a different thing. It is a very uniquely sort of in the hip hop world, a sort of from the women's perspective, and I think probably the fact that women are marginalized in the hip hop community so much is a lot of what drives that. So it's not like I understand where it comes from, but it's still fucking annoying to watch.
Yeah, it's like, but it still hurts my feelings.
Yeah, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, yeah. It's like, no, I get it, but I don't.
Like, what were we watching? Hysterical, where they were like, every man that walks up, every male comedian walks up there and thinks they're the big shit, and I was like, that's not true.
Not true. Not the comedians I've seen.
No, have you met like? I think there's a reason most of you comedians do this rather than any day job, and it's not because you are overwhelmed with self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's not really the connection between the comedians.
For sure. Anyway, I'm surprised, y'all. I thought I had to apologize for adding this to the viewing after I only watched one episode, but I guess maybe I should go back for episode 2 and see if it grabs.
I'd at least watch up 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apparently I need to watch Chucky and maybe all of American Horror Story. So I got my Halloween watching cut out for me. So
at least give season 2 a watch. Asylum, like, come on, man, you got to see how they bring in a Nazi scientist and Anne Frank and aliens and ghosts and
zombies.
Are there zombies in that one? No, they're medical experiments.
There's some undead shit.
No, the Nazi.
Yeah,
I don't think
they're Nazi medical experiments.
Yeah, they're not completely undead.
They had dolls and one-armed men and witches and telekinetics. Are
there vampires in Asylum? No.
In a 40-minute episode of this one, so
Santa Claus is in Asylum.
Yes, he is. Holy fuck, I forgot about that.
All right. Well, it's on the list. It's on my list to check out at some point.
Swearingen, I think, plays Santa.
That's
Yes.
okay. All right.
Ian McShane.
Well, that'll about wrap it up for us this week. Thank you, Les. Thank you, Nick.
Thanks, Randy. Thanks, Nick.
Thanks, dudes.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. Reminder, you can go over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us that $1 an episode, more if you want to. And you can listen to us talk about all things San Diego this week. And until next time.
TV Dudes out! The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener-supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.